We should be back in the building. Y'all know what to do. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me on this Monday morning. Hopefully y'all are doing well. We are about to get into it. Wow. Wow. I gotta double check the volume and see how we're doing up in here. We've got a lot to talk about on the show today, and we're gonna get into it. But before I do, I have to welcome you all. Welcome back to another YouTube live stream and another episode of the ClassE Morning Show. I'm your host ClassE of patreon.com/ClassEbeats. The link is in the description as well as in the pinned comment in the chat. Today we've got an action-packed show for you, including Action Jackson. Shout out to Alan Jackson. We're going to talk about him. He recently did an interview with Brother Counsel. Couple things I want to point out there, talking about Karen Reed and of course Michael Cox, the commissioner. We're going to get into it. We're also got some updates about David, and there may be a second suspect. And Karen Reed, of course, the McAlberts, the McKays, the Alberts, the Higginses, they all filed a response to Karen Reed's lawsuit, and we're going to get into that as well, along with a bunch of other stuff. But before I do, I got to say what's up to the people in the building, man. Of course, my awesome, amazing Amy is in here. Les Cleaver, A Fitz, Taco Tuesday is in here a day earlier. We got IDK, what to put there. So I put it shout out, that's the craziest username I see. IDK what to put there, so I put this name. Okay, shout out to IDK. We're gonna call you IDK from now on, because there's no way I'm saying that every time. Jay Buckmaster's in the building. We got Mary up in here, and we ain't got no quit, my favorite username, of course. Oh my, it's gonna be an interesting one. Now, before we get into it, I do have a favor to ask you guys. I know this is against YouTube decorum to ask y'all a favor as soon as you get to the show, but the good news is it's free. All I ask is that you like the video on your way in. Likes are free. It helps the channel continue to grow, lets the algorithm know that you guys are enjoying the show, shares the video, the channel, and this live stream out with more people. So thank you again to the nearly 600 of you that have liked the video so far. I really appreciate y'all so much. If you're feeling extra generous, you can share the video out as well. All you have to do is click the share button. It's got a arrow curved and pointing to the right. It also says share. You can share it to Instagram, X, Facebook, and even to your group chat in a text message. So thank you to those of you that do that. And I will be giving a special shout out and thank you to everyone who drops a super chat in there as well. I see there's already several of y'all who have dropped some super chats in the building. Shout out to Mary with the 2-bomb and the first super chat of the day. What does she say? She says, driving in the mountains a bit, listening. Thank you for the love, Mary. Thank you for being here and for the support. Hopefully you have safe travels out there as well. And we are going to go ahead and get into the show. Now, thank you to everybody that's in the building. I appreciate y'all so much. You guys really do make this show the place that it is. And so many of you support as well. Let me know if you celebrate Thanksgiving. Let me know what y'all are doing for this Thanksgiving week and Thanksgiving weekend. Good Friday or Black Friday, all that good stuff. Because we've got international folks in here too. Shout out to Liverpool, England, man. I see you over there. Let me know where y'all are from too. We got good morning from Alabama. And we got everybody up in here. We're international in this thing. All right, let's go ahead and get right into it. So we've been covering everything that's been happening with this David investigation, we'll call it, into Celeste Rivas's murder. Now we're trying to figure out and find out what's going on with the cause of death for Celeste Rivas, because the medical examiner is having some issues figuring out what the cause of death is, and that may be the main reason that there haven't been arrests made in this case. Now we heard some information last week about Celeste's body, and maybe they had some more information. There were rumors that David's now being named as a suspect. We're going to get in it shortly that we may actually have a second suspect in this, according to TMZ. Now we know how things go with TMZ, so we'll take it with a grain of salt, but we'll have to see what Harvey has to say here about this David situation as we get into some of these major updates in the investigation. Check this out.
Some major developments in the Celeste Rivas death. TMZ has learned that her body had been frozen. And when it was found, it was still partially frozen in the back of David's car. And it was in such bad condition that we are told the medical examiner may never be able to establish the cause of death. So here's what we know. when the body was found, it was in terrible condition. It had been decapitated, the torso was intact, the limbs had been removed, and they were cut up severely. The body was partially frozen in the trunk. And this is really important because remember, the body had been sitting there for days before it was finally impounded and then the body discovered. And it was still, the body parts were still partially frozen. So we are told that when the body first went to the medical examiner's office in early September, it was listed as an apparent homicide, but that was just from what seemed obvious, that the body was cut up into pieces. The medical examiner is having a really tough time right now trying to figure out what the cause of death was. We are told it is likely the cause of death will go undetermined because of the condition of the body and the fact that it was frozen and the fact that it was cut up the way it was. So we have told you that we know David is a suspect, and even if it is undetermined, the LAPD can still move forward, as could the LA County District Attorney. The LAPD is viewing this as a homicide. David is a suspect. We know this. And one of the keys to the case is a trip that authorities say David made in the middle of the night back in this spring to a remote area of Santa Barbara County. We are now also told that there is a second suspect, and our information is that the second suspect has something to do with the cutting up of the body.
Oh man, now this is huge because we talked about this last week when we last covered this. The second suspect is going to be a major thing. Who could potentially the second suspect be? Would it be David? Would it be David's brother? Who could have been involved in this? And because we mentioned this last time, I pointed out that if they know he took this trip, either they have the cell phone data, which was most likely they would have gotten his cell phone during the investigation, or they have the information for the Tesla, which seems like it would have been pretty easy to get, which is why a lot of us said at the beginning, why hasn't David been arrested? Even though it was his car, if they have his cell phone, it should have been pretty simple and straightforward to put together that he was either involved in this or not involved in this. And then we heard statements from the police department saying they don't have any named suspects. Now we're finding out they do. Who could be the second person? And are they going to be able to prove that it was a homicide? Man, this is crazy.
Now, Mark Garagos, who is my co-host on the Two Angry Men podcast, told us in the most recent podcast that his information is that this second suspect is being looked at not just for dismembering the body, but also for what happened before, during, and after Celeste's death. So there is a second suspect that the LAPD has its sights on. They have identified the person. Garriga says he knows who it is, not saying, but it is a second suspect implicated here. So obviously the question, how on earth did this body go from Santa Barbara, if that's indeed where it was taken? And that seems to be the operating theory of the LAPD, that if it was taken to Santa Barbara, how did it end up back in Los Angeles in the trunk of David's car in a residential neighborhood? The only thing that makes sense, and that's months and months later, the only thing that makes sense is that based on connecting the dots, it would seem that this body was put in a freezer for an extended period of time, and it was so frozen that by the time it got in the car, it took a long, long time for it to unfreeze, and it had not fully unfrozen at the time the body was discovered at the impound lot. So again, it looks like there may never be a cause of death determined by the medical examiner. The body was frozen. Just keep looking at TMZ. We will have more updates as the days pass.
And they kept true to that promise. Let's check out this article. Celeste Rivas's second suspect identified, the last person to use David's Tesla. Here we go with the information from the Tesla. This is what we wanted, and we thought law enforcement should have had a long time ago. Check this out. LAPD homicide detectives have ID'd the second suspect in the death of Celeste Rivas. And it's someone who law enforcement says could be involved before, during, or after her death. Mark Garagos dropped the new info on the latest Two Angry Men podcast after speaking with people directly involved with the case. Garagos says law enforcement has done a stunningly impressive job connecting the dots in this case using a combination of cell phone and Tesla data. This is what we said last week, the same thing. along with the location data and social media. Garagos and Harvey both independently confirm that sources that a central part of the case is a mysterious trip that David took to a remote area in Santa Barbara County in the middle of the night last spring. Not great. Based on various connections with our sources, it appears investigators believe Celeste's body may have been in the car. Garagos insinuates various data that shows the second suspect may have also been in the vehicle. The medical examiner has not yet determined the cause of death. At least it has not yet been conveyed to law enforcement. The Two Angry Men podcast is packed with info on this case. Make sure y'all check it out and go show some love. Also, we have some more information from TMZ on what was going on with the house and what police found in their investigation of that house out there in LA. David's house, or the house that he rented, had a freezer. The cops focused on the storage of Celeste Rivas's body. We even heard rumored that they found blood. Again, that's a rumor and hasn't been verified yet. Singer David, a suspect in a presumed homicide of Celeste Rivas, had a freezer large enough to store a body. A relevant fact since her body was apparently frozen for months. What? This is so wild, man. They show the freezer here. They said, check out this photo of David's rental home. It was taken a few years ago, and it shows the kitchen with a KitchenAid refrigerator / freezer. The freezer size of the appliance had a height around 74 inches and a width around 14 inches and a depth of roughly 27 inches. The temperature can get as low as -8 degrees Fahrenheit. Why would you need a freezer that cold? Celeste was 5'3" and 120 pounds. TMZ broke the story. Her body was found in a bag in David's Tesla. It was decapitated and the arms and limbs cut off. So it could have fit in the freezer if the shelving inside had been removed, which is easy to do. By the way, a torso for a 5'3" woman falls between 15 and 17 inches. You could literally just slide that thing in the top rack. Jesus. And 14 and 15 inches wide. Mind you, we do not know if the police have zeroed in on the freezer, but as we first reported, the body was partially frozen when it was found. This after an extended period of time in David's trunk back in August when it was hot in LA. The LAPD executed a search warrant on the home shortly after the body was discovered. It was probably cleaned up by then. There's also a video that is resurfaced on social media from September 4th, 2024, showing David in a house, not his rental, with an appliance box behind him. Let's check out this video. So did they plan this? There's no sound on this, by the way. And you see the appliance box there. Is it something? Is it nothing? Is it a coincidence? Oh man, the box appears to be a convertible chest / freezer with a removable storage basket. It has a capacity of 7 cubic feet. By the way, the last video of Celeste that we've seen is from September of 2024. We don't know if this freezer had any connection to the case, but the timing is off. Again, there has to be something there. Who buys a random freezer? What are you going to be putting in a freezer? At a rental house or in another house even. We don't know if the freezer has any connection to this case, but the timing is off. Remember, authorities say David went to a remote area of Santa Barbara around the spring of 2025, and that's where they believe Celeste's body was dismembered. As we reported, authorities believe the body has been frozen for an extended period of time. And TMZ broke the story that David took a trip out to Santa Barbara in the middle of the night late last spring, and he spent several hours out there. A source with knowledge says authorities did not believe Celeste was ever buried in Santa Barbara. They believe her body was dismembered there. So they dismembered her body and took the body back? One source with knowledge tells TMZ one theory is David and the accomplice, who is also now a suspect, may have taken the body there, dismembered it, and returned to LA, where it sat in the freezer for months. If that were the case, the question is, why did the body end up in David's Tesla? Why did they leave it there? There are various theories, including David was no longer staying at the house because he was on tour, and other people were staying in the home who could have discovered the body. Again, this is just one theory, but We've told the LAPD methodically putting a timeline together to determine what happened to Celeste. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments in the chat. Obviously, all signs are pointing to David, and even more signs are pointing to this being something that was planned and put together. We have so much evidence that we have to see, specifically what the medical examiner is talking about. Now that we know that the body was frozen and dismembered and had been there for months, this is going to be a tough one to beat, and even a tough one to trial. So we'll have to see what they say. Let me know what y'all think. Shout out to all 7,000 of you that are in the building. Also, shout out to my awesome, amazing Amy in here, gifting 5 memberships. If you got a membership from Amy, the first thing you should do is make sure that you go over and subscribe to Amy's channel. Not only is she super active here in the chat, super generous as y'all could see, but she does have a YouTube channel. She posts over there. She premieres videos, has clips of crazy, amazing content. So make sure, if y'all haven't watched it, go check out Amy's content, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time she drops a new video or a new premiere. And then the second thing, of course, is say thank you. Thank you to Amy for gifting those 5 memberships. Make sure that you check out the members only content that we have here on the channel. You also get instant access to any video we drop here on the channel as well, so you don't have to wait. Y'all see we schedule videos out usually sometimes even days ahead of time. So with you being a member, you get instant access to that. You also get your name highlighted in that beautiful green and custom emojis you can use as well. So shout out to Amy for the support. So was the body still frozen upon discovering her? No, the body was not frozen. So the medical examiner was able to determine that the body was frozen at some point, and then it thawed out as it was sitting in the trunk of the car. So that's why it started to smell. That's where the smell came from. Somebody said something. The police were called. Police went out there and they found Celeste's body. Sad, sad stuff, man. What a situation. I mean, it's looking like David would have been and could have been and most likely was the one who was involved in this, especially if you consider some of the content and the music that he creates. It's very, very eerie, very strange stuff. So I'm sure the truth will come to light here shortly, and then we'll be looking at some type of murder trial, because it seems like the LAPD is closing in on this. But great question. I wonder if David will be arrested before the end of the year. If I had to put money on it, I would say absolutely 1000% yes. If they've narrowed it down to 2 suspects, it seems like they're just going to get David and the second suspect together. They're trying to figure out exactly how they were involved. Maybe a pleas offered. I mean, how many weeks we have left in the year? About 5? We got about 5 weeks left. Let me see. 1 this week, next week, and then 4 weeks, 5 weeks after that. I think he's arrested before the end of the year. Most likely. We'll have to wait and see. I think he's in trouble, says we ain't got no quit. He 1000% is in trouble. And that's an understatement. I mean, if you guys go look up and research Amy sent me some of the music videos from David. It gets so weird. Even the females that were used in the music videos look very similar to Celeste Rivas. So it gets crazy in here. We also had someone drop a super chat over on the Cash App. Shout out to Spring Flowers with the 10 bomb. Says, thanks for covering this crazy story. Hey, we're not going to let up. All roads, all signs point to David. And now we're hearing about a second suspect. No, Celeste, she did not deserve to die like this. She did not deserve to be murdered and have her body dismembered. So whoever did this needs to be held accountable. So thank you so much for the love, Spring Flowers, over on the Cash App. Let's go ahead and get into it. So we've got to give a big shout out to another LawTube creator, content creator here on YouTube, and an actual attorney, Brother Counsel. If y'all haven't checked out Brother Counsel's YouTube channel, he actually recently did an interview yesterday with Alan Jackson. Absolutely great interview. I listened to most of it, and we're not going to react to the whole thing, because I really want you guys to go over there and make sure you support Brother Counsel. So I will leave a link to this full interview in the description and in the comments for you guys to go check it out. There's a couple of things specifically in this I wanted to get into. First, of course, Alan Jackson's going to talk about Karen Reed. And then later on in this video, we're actually going to get into Alan Jackson responding to the letter that we read and the response from the post commission about Commissioner Michael Cox. So make sure y'all check this out. We're going to get into this interview. And again, big shout out to the dope creator here, Brother Counsel. Here we go.
How's she holding up?
She's great. She's great. She's great. She's doing very, very well. I've always said in every opportunity, in every forum that I've had an opportunity to talk about Karen from a personal standpoint, she's as strong a person as I think I've ever met. So she's doing very, very well. She knows that she's got another fight on her hands, but she's got her back up and she's ready to take it on. We've got all the facts and the evidence in our favor. So we're not backing down. She's not backing down. Yeah,
I mean, it seems like after 3 years of what she went through, 2 trials, that's enough. And now it seems like it's never ending. Now she's getting.
You would think so. Yeah, you would think so. But the powers that be in Massachusetts have decided otherwise, and they wanted to pick a fight. So we're ready.
It's sad.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, so number one, I mean, they're posturing. Again, we don't have to get into this so much, but again, they're posturing to go looking through her phone to perhaps bring her back to a grand jury to try to stick some witness intimidation charges on her. That's one thing she's got to worry about. Another thing is she's got this civil case that she's defending, the wrongful death and all that nonsense. And then I just saw recently that there's this opposition, this non-party Jennifer McCabe, Matthew McCabe, Nicole Albert, all those guys, all the gang, their opposition, and then them hinting that they're going to file a defamation lawsuit against Karen and a certain blogger. So, I mean, it's just doesn't end. Like, when are they going to leave her alone?
Man, hey, they need to start putting some respect on TB's name, man. Come on now. Give this guy his shout out. He's been putting in a lot of work and did a lot of work when it came to Karen Reed. And I think it's arguable that a lot of us, maybe even myself, wouldn't have found out what was going on with Karen Reed without Turtle Boy's involvement. So, hey, shout out to Turtle Boy, man. Shout out to TB.
Right. Exactly. That's what we keep asking. But until they do, we're right here fighting right with her. So it is interesting. The turn of events that occurred on at the last hearing, the Zoom hearing that we had, talking about that exact thing. Are the cases going to be consolidated? Because she's getting up on the balls of her feet. She's actually suing individuals. She's not just going to sit there and be on the defensive. She's going to be on the offensive. She is now on the offensive. There are other parties that are going to end up being brought into the case. It's her case as well. The original thought was it makes sense because all the same parties, all the same evidence, all the same arguments are going to be propounded in either one of the cases. In both of the cases, they should be combined. It made sense to combine them.
I agree.
The civil lawyers, Damon Seligson, when he made his first introduction about this issue to the judge, he said as much. And said, our intention with the court's permission is we think that we should combine these things because otherwise we're going to take 2 depositions for every single person. I think a light just went out. 2 depositions for every single person that is on the witness list and interrogatories, and all the discovery is going to be duplicated. So it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and actually with that, we're going to get into this in another video, but we did have a response to what Karen Reed filed, or Karen Reed filing the lawsuit against all of these folks. And we're going to get into it shortly. It's basically Jennifer McCabe and the gang saying, hey, we don't want to be involved in this. I don't know why y'all are trying to bring us into it, but handle that. And we'll do these lawsuits separately. That's what they're trying to do now.
I think we're going to have to go without the light. That said, it didn't make sense for us to do this separately. So we made the pitch. The next thing you know, they oppose it in the opposition that you're talking about. So we said, okay, fine. Then we'll just sue individually. We'll sue in a different county and put on an active lawsuit that is to our liking. She becomes the plaintiff, and these individuals that have been named become the defendants. Well, the next thing you know, we go back into court, and the argument that is then propounded by opposing counsel is, well, wait a minute, why aren't we putting these things together? Which is exactly where we started from. So I felt like I was a little bit in Alice in Wonderland, but we'll get to the bottom of it. These are procedural niceties that are not going to inhibit our ability to move forward with our lawsuit, which is exactly what we want and what we need.
Yeah, and what's interesting, Alan, also is that I saw this non-party opposition to Karen Reed's motion. I checked the docket. I did not see your motion filed in the docket, which I understand Massachusetts does things differently, Mr. Jackson.
Very, very, exactly. As Judge Cannoni let me know all the time, Massachusetts does things very differently. Yeah, there's an odd procedural aspect to civil filings, which is you file a motion. Sorry, my mistake. This is old school. That's what we do in California. You file a motion.
And every other jurisdiction in the country.
Exactly. But in Massachusetts, you serve a motion. you get service back from an opposition, and once you have that package together, you file both of those at the same time. It's just an odd procedural nicety in Massachusetts, and we followed that procedure. So that's why you don't see our motion on the docket, because once we served our motion and we received their very, very assertive opposition, then we said, okay, fine. If that's the position you're going to take, and you feel like it's not convenient or not consistent with efficiency to do these things together, we'll just file on our own. Next thing you know.
Now, if you guys do want to support Karen Read, shout out to the Young Jerks for this. She actually has started a fund, a defense fund. And shout out to the Young Jerks for posting this. They say Karen Read does indeed need financial support for her civil suit attorney costs. She's lost everything: her home, her career, and her 401k retirement savings. She lives with her parents. If you would like to continue to support her, consider a Venmo donation over the holidays. Karen Read -1 on Venmo. So this is the Venmo here. And then she's also got a pay to it on paytoit.com. Karen Read civil case. We've got the fundraiser here. It looks like her goal is $500,000. Lord. And you can donate there as well. So I'll have all this information for y'all in the description of this video. If you want to go and support Karen Read, listen, the only reason she's in this situation is because she was drinking with her boyfriend and driving. And some people tried to pin what the unfortunate demise of John Keith on her. So again, she's still, at the end of the day, it's unfortunate she has to be involved in this. So if you want to support, go support Karen Read. I ain't mad.
No, as I said, we go back to court, and the O'Keefe parties, who are not the ones necessarily to oppose in that motion, but they were opposing it orally, said they changed 180 degrees and said, well, wait a minute, I think we need to consolidate these things, at least through the discovery process.
For discovery purposes.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. And then, but what does it tell me? The fact that I didn't see your motion leaked, apparently, but we do see this opposition.
Well, it does tell you something. We didn't leak any motion, so it came from somewhere. I don't know where you got yours, but you didn't get it from us.
It's all around online, and maybe you think that
Funny how that happens.
That little jab of they're getting ready to file a defamation lawsuit against Karen.
Yeah. Well, threats are just that. They're just threats. So we'll see.
Well, look, I mean, Alan, when I heard about it, potential, and this was reported in the news, by the way, before I even saw this, it was reported in some news article that they're getting ready to file this defamation lawsuit before I even saw this filing. Now that I saw the filing, I can confirm it.
Right.
If this is accurate, of course, but I'm assuming it is that I just had one response. I've got 2 words.
I'll bet I know what they are. Yeah, do it. Knock yourself out.
I would like nothing more.
Yeah, I don't care.
All right. Okay. So let me ask you this. I mean, I know a little bit of civil work myself. I do a lot of civil work. So if I was the plaintiff in this action, I would be getting ready or trying to work out taking Karen's deposition. So is that what's going on? Is her deposition being scheduled? Has it been scheduled? What about some of the other people that you may have interest in deposing? Maybe you specifically have an interest in deposing. Have any depositions been scheduled yet?
Can y'all imagine Alan Jackson in a deposition with Jennifer McCabe? Or Brian Higgins, or any of these other folks? Because, think about this for a second, just because they may not be lumped into this entire civil lawsuit that the O'Keefes are filing against Karen Read and the other 2, CF McCarthy's and the Waterfall, that does not mean they won't be called as witnesses. And Alan Jackson said, yes, we're going to hold these people accountable. Higgins, Tully, Yuri, Proctor, Jennifer McCabe, Brian, all of them. Can y'all imagine this man in a deposition with them after all this? Woo-wee.
So I'm not going to talk about, I don't want to get out over my skis. So I'm going to leave the civil procedure aspect of the case is being handled by she and Finney back in Boston. They're phenomenal lawyers. We've got an incredible team. Karen has an amazing team that's sort of running the procedural show, running the civil show back in Boston. And I don't want to get out over my skis and get ahead of them in terms of what they are or are not doing. I can assure you from my perspective, are there depositions that I would like to be involved in? Yeah, you can imagine. I would. Yeah, I'm a long way from being done. I haven't exhausted all the questions that I have. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, shout out to Alan Jackson doing the great work. Then again, if y'all want to support Karen Read, the Young Jerks posted this. So make sure you double check before you donate any money, but I'll actually minimize this. But if you want to support Karen Read, they're saying that you can support her using Karen-Reed-1 on Venmo. Double check that and make sure that is verified. But also, if you want something a little bit more official, you can go to payit2.com/fundraiser/117290. And I'll leave a link in the description for y'all if you want to go support Karen Reed. Interesting stuff here. Alan Jackson, this man has been holding back and seems like he's ready to fight and take this on full steam. So we're going to be looking forward to hearing it. Now, y'all know we're going to cover it here as well. Let me know what you think in the comments and in the chat. All right, let me see here. Let me see what y'all are saying. Shout out to the gang in here. We've got over 7,000 of you watching. Thank you to everybody who's supporting as well. We've got one more segment we want to cover from this interview. I promised y'all we were going to get into the Michael Cox situation, and Alan Jackson's going to respond to that. I need to actually skip ahead a little bit in this video, and then we'll go ahead and get into it. Let me see what y'all are saying in the comments. So Ducky Dexter's up in here. All I'm going to say is if she can afford to go to Italy, she can afford her attorneys and so on. But you do you, boo. Oh, dang. Y'all are supporting Karen Reed. Listen, a trip to Italy is not $500,000. So I'll say that. I mean, dang. Let Karen Reed live her life a little bit. Y'all know. Go support her. She sent AJ to do the Turtle Boy interview to spite them, because she couldn't control them going on all the YouTube shows. Yeah, every time, I'm not going to lie, every time I see Alan Jackson or, some of the other folks, Yannetti or Alessi on Karen Reed's team doing interviews with everyone other than Turtle Boy, I don't know, I kind of feel for him, man. It's got to be weird after being so heavily involved. And I mean, a champion of Karen Reed's innocence in this case. And, not getting an interview. I don't know if he's wanted one. A trip to Italy is a minimum of $1,000 per day. Dang, she's been through a lot of stress, man. Y'all send that girl to Italy. Keep It Moving with New York said she's got beef because when you were talking about the Uber driver, you didn't have to say, yeah, of course she's from New York. I knew that's exactly what you were going to say because Law and Order NYC came after me for that comment too. Hey, man. Keep It Moving New York. Y'all know you be tripping out there. Please, you have more nuts strolling around down there. I think that's debatable. Shout out to New York, man. Y'all be tripping. I'm going to support TB, Sarah, and Karen Reed. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. They have all testified in 2 grand juries and at least 1 trial. Depositions will ruin all of those witnesses. Oh, it's going to be fun to see. What did you mean by being in New York? Am I gonna regret making that comment? Listen, we did a video last week just to give y'all a backstory about this crazy chick that went up into this guy's house. He was laying on his couch, apparently butt naked. She was delivering him some food with DoorDash, and she opened the door, saw him laying there naked, and said that she was a victim of SA. And she was in New York, and I made the statement, well, of course she's from New York. Am I gonna regret that statement? Listen, it's not everybody in New York, all right? I'm just saying. Hey, y'all got it. Don't take it so seriously, man. I respect New Yorkers. Keep It Moving New York says shame on you. All right, I take it back. Dang. She could have made 6 figures talking about Karen Reed going on the show, but she's still asking for money. Oh, you're talking about going on TB's show? Okay. Well, 6 figures. I think that's a little bit of a stretch, but maybe something up there. He said that chick is sick. Shout out to New York, man. Why do people from New York insist on telling us where they are from? Hey, man, New Yorkers are dope. Y'all put some respect on New Yorkers. After all Karen has endured, she deserves a recuperative rallying trip to Italy. I can't imagine. She is from Lake Ontario area. All right, New Yorkers, dang, y'all chill out. Oh, you're talking about the Today Show or Good Morning America? I think she's done enough talking to the media. Honestly, seeing the amount of talking she was doing before the trial, I was like, oh my God. And y'all remember the clips Brennan was playing before each witness came up? They had a clip from her interviews for every segment. Oh man. Yeah, not everyone's from the city. Yeah. We know. Y'all chill out, man. Dang, New York, y'all gotta relax. It gets so feisty. So now we're gonna get back into this interview from Brother Counsel. Again, he did an amazing job doing this interview with Alan Jackson, talking about Karen Reed, talking about Fraser Bohm, talking about what we're gonna get into next, which is the Post Commission's response to Alan Jackson's letter asking them to do an investigation into the conduct of Commissioner Michael Cox. If y'all want to support Brother Counsel, I please ask you that you do that. He did a great job with this interview. I'll leave a link in the description so you can go over and watch the full interview. We're just going to play a segment here, and then I have some other clips I want to show you from Michael Cox that are starting to resurface as a result of this request for an investigation. Check out what Alan Jackson had to say here.
Sent to you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. It was a very professional response. They basically punted. If I can put it that way, it was It was a professional punt, but it was a punt. They said, we have engaged the Boston Police Department through the city, and been assured by the city that the commissioner is not a sworn peace officer, which is interesting because I have a video of him being sworn in, and it sounds a hell of a lot like the exact same oath that police officers take. And the code says in Massachusetts that a peace officer is not only a sworn officer who's on the streets, doing God's work, it's also the head of the agency or head of the department, and he happens to be that. He also wears a badge. He also has been seen and heard and recorded at commencement speeches, talking about himself as a peace officer, as a police officer, as a cop, making sort of euphemistic jokes about it. There's no question that the commissioner holds himself out to be a police officer, to be a peace officer. So I was a little bit surprised that the city took that position. I think as the head of the agency, he should be under the strictures of the Post Commission. They have the Post Commission Peace Officer Standards and Trainings is there for a reason. It's to establish a baseline for conduct of all officers. Why would he not be subject to that? He's literally the commissioner that supervises 3,000 people who are subject to those strictures.
It makes no sense.
Why wouldn't he be? It seems like an odd position for him to take. But I was buoyed by Mr. Zuniga's letter, who's the director of the Boston or Massachusetts Post Commission. And he said he appreciated the letter. He appreciated my letter. He's taken it to heart. And they are currently reviewing their internal policies as to whether or not the Boston Police Commissioner in the future, moving forward, should be subject to post strictures.
Yeah, and again, we went through and reviewed this letter. It was pretty hilarious how they basically said, hey, listen, man, you already did your due diligence. You sent us the letter. We can't do anything. You sent the letter to Michael Cox's actual boss, or the person who you would want to we would refer you to, and that's going to be Mayor Wu. They said, so, hey, listen, we can't do anything here. We can't help you. We're sorry. Hopefully you get some help. But now that you mentioned it, it kind of makes sense that the commissioner should fall under the purview of the Post Commission. So maybe we'll look at updating that. It's pretty funny.
I'm a little bit proud of that. If I could bring that to light and maybe change that policy, then good for us. But we're not done. He also said he would, under ordinary circumstances, forward my letter to Michelle Wu as a direct supervisor of the commission and the commissioner. But he wasn't doing that because I've already contacted her. So I already wrote it. Exactly. So you will probably find some follow-up by me and my staff and my office with Michelle Wu's office, and I will send a congratulatory and thank you letter to Mr. Zuniga for at least responding. I have not received any response from Michelle Wu's office, which is a little bit surprising as well. This is a serious matter, and I would think that she would take it seriously. I would hope that she would take it seriously, but maybe they're just backed up a little bit, and the draft is on her desk waiting to be signed. We'll see.
I'm sure it is. But I will say, anyone that has some sort of influence on their officers, telling them to do the right thing or not telling them to do the right thing, whichever you believe, definitely holds a lot of influence with their officers, calling them into meetings. You would think that they should be at least subject to whatever their officers they're influencing, the same standards.
Well, the code says, that's exactly right, Martin. The code says that a peace officer is defined as someone who is engaged in police work. How could the commissioner say with a straight face, I'm calling my staff in, I'm calling my officers in, staff officers in, and others, and giving them advice, giving them supervisory advice on how to conduct themselves on the witness stand. By the way, professional police officers are professional witnesses. That is part of the job description. You investigate crimes, and then you testify about.
So you don't even have to have a badge.
The investigation concomitant to those crimes. So how could you possibly say, with a straight face, I'm giving advice and counsel to my officers on how to do their job, except I'm not. That's not in furtherance of police conduct or the mission of the police department. Of course it is. Of course it is. So I think, unfortunately, I think the city, not Post. I'm not laying the blame on Post because I think they did what they could do. Their hands are a little bit tied. The city has taken the position. He's not subject to Post, so go pound sand. I think that's a ridiculous position to take. I don't think that it is one that would hold up under scrutiny, and I intend.
Yep, and Alan Jackson, he says he's not going to stop fighting this, and I think he is 1,000% right on this. Not that it matters what I think, but we've seen Commissioner Cox make statements, be involved heavily with the police. It's his job. He's one of them, and we're actually going to do a little bit of a rewind to when Commissioner Cox was sworn in, and I want you guys to tell me in the comments in the chat, does it sound like someone who's an official police officer? Check this out.
Boston's new police commissioner is in office now and looking to deliver on some big promises to the community. Commissioner Michael Cox was sworn in this morning. WBZ's Courtney Cole visited the neighborhood where Cox grew up and found neighbors are expecting him to follow through.
Sworn in as what?
I, Michael Cox, do solemnly swear.
On Monday morning on the Circle of City Hall Plaza, Boston got its new police commissioner.
He is full of love for this community, and I'm proud that today a boy from Roxbury is going to serve as the commissioner for the Boston Police Department.
How's she gonna call a black man a boy? Mayor Wu, have some. Come on, Mayor Wu. Don't do that.
Finest in the country.
To come to a place where I grew up, where I was raised, where I was an officer, where I raised my family. This is an incredible opportunity.
One that Commissioner Michael Cox knows comes with great responsibility.
And I look forward to making sure I live up to that responsibility.
When asked how his experience in 1995 is going to impact who he will be as a city's top cop, he said,
"Oh, what? Whoa. Did y'all hear that? As the city's top cop? Is that what the news reported? Is he a cop or not? What is this? What's this around his neck? What is happening here? What is going on with the Post Commission? Again, Alan Jackson doesn't have an issue with it. We talked about this in the last video. This makes absolutely no sense. This man has to be a cop. Let's keep it going.
And I look forward to making sure I live up to that responsibility.
When asked how his experience in 1995 is going to impact who he will be as a city's top cop, he said,
"You have to be cognizant of the worst part of this job, and I am, right? There's no sugarcoating around it. I know if things go unchecked, we can do bad things. And so because of that, we're going to intentionally make sure and remind people that these things can happen so that they don't happen."
Cox says he has a lot on his priority list.
We have to talk to officers. We have to go back out in the community and hear what they have to say.
But is still working on the game plan, promising transparency in the process. With an emphasis placed on helping the department look like the communities it serves, we went back to his community of Roxbury to get reaction from residents.
For me, as someone who grew up in this area, lived in this area, I think it goes even beyond making sure our police officers represent our communities and come from our communities and really have the tools.
It's going to be equal.
Man, how they find the two people in Boston to speak, the two black people in Boston to speak out about this? Y'all know it's like 4% black folks out in here. We're glad we got somebody that looks like us. Like 90% of Boston does not look like Commissioner Cox. I could be wrong.
Have the tools.
It's going to be equal. He'll break it down through the system. That's what he's going to bring.
Commissioner Cox knows he has a pretty big job ahead of him, but he says he needs your help doing it. Now he's calling on everyone who truly has love for Boston to be a part of the process and to give them feedback along the way. In Roxbury, I'm Courtney Cole for WBZ News.
All right, so let's hear a part of his acceptance speech. And I want to see if he actually references himself as a cop, as he's standing there with, I guess, an honorary badge. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? The laws are so weird. I think it's funny that they found the two people, black people in Boston, to interview about this, by the way.
First of all, thank you, Mayor Wu. I've been here a short period of time, and I've been so impressed with your leadership as mayor. I've been so impressed with your commitment to all the residents of Boston and making sure no city, no section of the city, no person is left behind in any of the success the city has. And your ability to include the whole city is exactly what we all should be doing. And so thank you for your leadership. And I look forward to working in the future to make sure that the police department reflects everything that you want the city to be. So there are many dignitaries here today, and I probably cannot name all of you all if I wanted to. But I'll start off by a few. Certainly the former commissioners that have been here. Thank you for all that you've done in the police department. In many ways, I've been influenced by your leadership in so many different ways, and it's helped me get to where I am today, and I appreciate your support during the, certainly my path forward here, so thank you. I have many friends and family that are here, and I'll start off certainly with my wife Kimberly and my children. I thank you so much for supporting me and allowing me to make law enforcement my life's work, regardless of the circumstances that we might have gone through. And I truly appreciate it and love you all. To come home and be able to lead in this department, in this city, to come to a place where I grew up, where I was raised, where I was an officer, where I raised my family. This is an incredible opportunity. And with all great opportunities comes great responsibility. And I look forward to making sure I live up to that responsibility. Those in law enforcement and policing to serve the community. But we have to reimagine how we do that in the world we live in today. We have to actively engage with the community, because in order for us to be successful, that's the path to get there. If we want to meet this moment, we need to come together and successfully change how we police. To do this, we'll be looking to partner with the community and make this a reality through listening, through partnership, through figuring out better ways to serve the public under the conditions that we're living in today. I and the mayor certainly are in line in this vision, and we're going to make sure that every member of the department is supported and has all the tools that they're needed to be successful and safe, that we'll hold each member of the department accountable for what we ask them to do. But more importantly, we will support them as they meet the community where they are to figure out how it is that they want us to police. I want to thank the commission that certainly hired me. You did a tremendous process of figuring out what it is that the community wanted from us. There was a great deal of talk about transparency, accountability, procedural justice, equity, and inclusion.
Accountability.
In our path forward, these will be the heart of everything that we're going to try to do with the police department. The Boston Police Department has existed a long time.
Yeah,
and Boston is one of the oldest cities in the country. And similar to all of us, and I'm going to include myself in this, the department has from time to time failed. It stumbled and fallen occasionally throughout history. But the department, like many of us, has gotten up and actually tried to find a path forward and been successful through whatever it was they went through at that time. And we are in a different time right now. And I'm quite confident that we will meet the challenge ahead of us. We are resilient And we made change happen before, and we'll do it again. But hopefully, with the permanence, or at least until society evolves and changes, and we voluntarily change ourselves to meet the future needs. Since I was announced to be the 44th Boston Police Commissioner, there's been a great deal of talk about the incident that happened to me 27 years ago. And while this incident is absolutely informs like who I am,
Incident was
it doesn't
crazy.
define me.
And if y'all want to know what incident he's talking about, basically, Commissioner Cox, he was a police officer. He got misidentified as a suspect, and he got his you-know-what beat by other officers. Got a lot of money out of that lawsuit settlement. It was one of the wildest stories I've ever heard. We've talked about it here on the channel before.
I've worked to change policing since that incident occurred, and I will continue to do all I can to do it, to make sure that no black or brown person or any individual, no matter what their gender identity or race, is the victim of any kind of unconstitutional policing.
Yeah, and shout out to all 10 of y'all, all 10 of the black folks in Boston. You're safe. Thanks to Commissioner Michael Cox. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments in the chat. I see y'all talking about in the chat. Accountable, transparent, integrity. I think all those words should be banned from Boston PD. Can we all agree? Even MSP, can we just hold off on using those words until maybe we get an outsider that comes in and can start talking about accountability? Because we haven't seen it from y'all. This man can't even admit that he made an appointment with Kelly Dever a day after he found out from the FBI he was involved in the Karen Reed case. So please, let's just stop the madness. Let me know what y'all think. Oh man, I see Amy over there cooking in the chat. What's she talking about? So is he a cop? Guess not. The post commission said no. That's very nice, Mike. Can you cut your speech short so we can go to the reception? Yeah, them people was trying to eat, man. Mike was up there talking about accountability, transparency, and integrity. Boy, if you don't get up out of there. Amy says he was a cop for 30 years with BPD. He retired and became the commissioner, so technically not a cop. She also says Michael Cox. Oh, there's a nuance in some contexts, such as the Massachusetts Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission. He is considered a civilian executive. So he's a he's a supervisor, not a currently sworn patrol officer. Why are we swearing in civilian executives, though? Is the president a civilian executive? I mean, what? I don't know. Michael Cox joined the Boston Police Department in 1989, served for 3 decades in multiple roles: patrol officer, detective, supervisor, command staff. In 1995, while working undercover, he was mistakenly beaten by fellow officers. Insane, man. Which became a major case in Boston police history. He retired as a police officer and later returned as commissioner. He left BPD after 30 years to become chief of police in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and then returned to Boston as a commissioner in 2022. Shout out to Amy for that great insight. He's a cop, a retired cop, but still a cop. Not a sworn cop, though. That's the difference. Apparently. Yes, I watched your covers on that before. I had faith in him. I was naive. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Shout out to Linda. I mean, it is what it is. They're going to do what they need to do to protect themselves. Wish Dever would come forward, spill the beans. She has nothing to lose now. That's what TB was saying the other day. He's like, man, Kelly, come on. We all know what was going on. Just say it. Just say it. It only takes one person. Let the dominoes fall. It's going to happen one way or another. It's going to happen one way or another. So why not just get it over with and be on the right side of history, right? Okay, let me see. I got to fix this. I got to fix this title because we're looking kind of crazy up here. And we're going to talk about the response from the McAlberts, as y'all like to call them, to Karen Reed's lawsuit. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to read the introduction here shortly. Thank you again to all 8,000, 7,000 of y'all that are in the building. Appreciate y'all for being here. If you could, make sure you like the video on your way in, please. Likes are free. I don't ask for much, guys, but I do ask that you like the video. Wu is sworn in, and she's a civilian executive. Yeah, I guess there's a lot of civilian executives out there. I have never heard that term before until today. She could redeem herself, do the right thing. Not always easy. Amy said she can. She has false memories. Cox needs to be held higher because he oversees the police. You would think it would hold him to a higher standard, which I guess is why he reports directly to the mayor. I don't know, man. This whole thing is crazy and wild and strange. So we've been talking about the situation with Karen Read not only having to fight this civil lawsuit from the O'Keefe family, the O'Keefe estate, but now she's going on the offense, and she filed a lawsuit against Brian Higgins, Yuri Buchanan, Michael Proctor, all the Alberts, all the McCabe's, and now we're going to get a response from them basically saying, hey, what does this have to do with us? We weren't involved in this. If you want to sue us separately. Don't lump us into this entire civil lawsuit with the O'Keefe family. So we're going to see what they had to say here. And obviously we heard from Alan Jackson in an earlier video, his feelings on that. He said, either way, we going to fight this. So however y'all want to do it, fine. It just seemed like it would be easier for us to do this all in one case, because if not, we're going to have multiple duplicates of interrogatories. We're going to have duplicates of depositions. We're going to have, it's just going to take more time, and it's unnecessary and a waste of the court's time. But this is what they have to say. Non-parties: Jennifer McCabe, Matthew McCabe, Nicole Albert, Brian Albert, and Brian Higgins. Opposition to Karen Read's motion to add parties pursuant to this civil lawsuit. Non-parties and witnesses in the Commonwealth's prosecution of defendant Karen Read, Jennifer McCabe, Matthew McCabe, Nicole Albert, Brian Albert, and Brian Higgins, collectively the Commonwealth's witnesses, having been served by defendant Karen Read with her motion for leave to add parties pursuant to Massachusetts Rule of Civil Procedure 21, along with the proposed cross-claim pleading, proposed claim is going to be referred to, hereby write to the court to oppose this motion. They said, we don't want to be a part of this. We already got enough issues on our own. Defendant Read's proposed cross claims and related factual allegations against the McCabes, the Alberts, and Mr. Higgins are a vile work of fiction. Oh, here we go with the crying already. Lacking any basis in fact, evidence, or law. How about someone Googling on their own phone, how's long to die in the cold? You want to blame it on Karen Read? Okay, cool. But ma'am, this was on your phone. And it was found that shortly before this man's body was found on the front lawn, that you Googled this. So that seems like a little bit of facts and evidence again, I'm not an attorney, so don't listen to me. Indeed, the outlandish allegations are a part of defendants Read's scheme to defame and wrongfully malign the Commonwealth's witnesses to evade responsibility for her actions that she was found not guilty of not long ago, on the morning of January 29, 2022, and for causing the death of Officer John J. O'Keefe. What? How can they say this? But they are doubling down. They must think they're invincible. Because there is no way, they've already tried it twice, that this is going to be pinned on Karen Read. Karen Read didn't do it. The jury's seen it 2 times. We saw it. She didn't do it. Somebody else, something else happened here. And y'all could be the only ones who could be hiding the truth. Come on, man. The Commonwealth witnesses vigorously dispute defendant Karen Read's allegations and will defend against these false claims. The Commonwealth's defense will include motions to dismiss, potential removal of these claims to federal court, oh my, as well as counterclaims against defendant Read and third party Aiden Kearney, aka TB, we're going to call him, put some respect on his name, also known as Turtle Boy, for defamation and other torts that they have committed individually and in concert. The Commonwealth witnesses, however, should not be forced to litigate these false allegations and their own defamation claims in this pending lawsuit brought by the family of Officer John O'Keefe against Defendant Reed and 2 other defendants for their role in causing the death of Officer John O'Keefe on January 29, 2022, the wrongful death action. Bringing Defendant Reed's proposed cross claims into this action, along with Commonwealth's defamation and other tort claims, is procedurally improper at this stage and will substantially increase the claims, parties, and factual disputes and legal questions in this case without any evident economies of scale. Economies? Moreover, the plaintiff's wrongful death action is currently past the motion to dismiss phase, with discovery having commenced. If the defendant, Reed, is permitted to file these claims relating to her criminal prosecution in this case, the motion practice on her pleadings will likely take months. We're not going to hear about this case until next year. So what are we complaining about? Then, if the defendant Reed's proposed cross claims survive dismissal, the Commonwealth will file their own counterclaims against Defendant Reed and Turtle Boy in this action. Those counterclaims could again trigger months of motion practice. As such, the current discovery schedule could almost be over before the pleadings are closed on the defendant's proposed expansion of this case. Accordingly, Defendant Reed's motion should be denied, and she should be directed to file her proposed pleading, if at all, in a separate action. In that separate action, depending on what claims survive the dismissal, it may be appropriate for the parties to consolidate the cases pursuant to Rule 42 of the Massachusetts Rules of Civil Procedure. So they're saying we can consolidate this, but we just don't want to consolidate it here. Again, AJ talked about this. If this is the way you want to go, fine. It doesn't make sense. It's going to make more work for everybody else. But if you guys want to sit there and you want to sit for a deposition twice with Alan Jackson, I wouldn't want to sit for one once. Be my guest. At this time, it is too early to determine whether judicial economy and efficiency could be served by consolidation in the future. Nevertheless, it is evident that there is no basis to warrant joinder at this time, and the present motion should be denied. All right, and then we've got the factual and procedural background. We're not going to get into that because I'm not an attorney, and I'm not even going to know what they're talking about. And then as we go through here, let's see the points of their arguments, and then I'll leave it there. Rule 21 is not the proper vehicle for Defendant Reed to join the Commonwealth witnesses and assert the proposed cross claims. Now, from what I do know, I do find it interesting that no one in the original lawsuit or the original civil lawsuit, meaning the O'Keefes, was mentioned in Karen Reed's counterclaim. So again, it makes sense that they would have everything together because they're already going to be involved in this case. But I could see this going the other way based on my limited knowledge of the law and what Alan Jackson said himself. Joinder will cause delay and prejudice without any efficiency or judicial economy. That seems fair. Also, they say the Commonwealth will have substantial motions to dismiss if the defendant Reed is allowed to file her proposed cross claims in this action. So they're saying, if you're going to sue us, sue us. Otherwise, go sue the O'Keefes. Go countersue them. Don't bring us into this. What do we have to do with this claim other than being a witness? So they also say Defendant Reed's joinder strategy will prejudice the Commonwealth witnesses by likely foreclosing their right to remove the litigation to federal court. So they say they want to move this to federal court. Man, that does not sound like fun. If this motion is allowed, the Commonwealth witnesses will have to file defamation and other related counterclaims against Defendant Reed and third party Turtle Boy in this wrongful death action. But didn't they threaten that they were already going to do that? So was that a pump fake? They put out a whole press release saying, oh yeah, we're going after Karen Reed. There was a whole article on it by Boston, I believe we read. So did they say they don't want to file defamation lawsuits or counterclaim that? This doesn't make any sense. Rule 42 consolidation may be appropriate between the separate lawsuits at a later time. Okay, and then conclusion, they say, for the foregoing reasons, the Commonwealth witnesses respectfully request the court deny defendant Reed's motion pursuant to Rule 21 to file the proposed cross claims in the pending wrongful death lawsuit. Signed by all them folks. Shout out to them. What do y'all think is going to happen? Again, if this gets changed, if it gets elevated to federal court, this is going to be a mess. And we're going to be talking about Karen Reed well into 2028. I want to know what y'all think about this in the comments in the chat. Does it make sense to you reading this that the court just leave it the way it is and let Karen Reed counterclaim, naming all the McCabe's, all the Alberts, Mr. Higgins, and Yuri and the other MSP gang? Or should they keep it separate? And then we're going to be covering Karen Reed every day for the next 2 years. I want to know what y'all think in the comments in the chat. Shout out to the gang in here. We got 8,000 of y'all up in here now. Oh yeah, we're cooking now. We are cooking. I appreciate everybody. I see some super chats in there too. I will get to those here in just a second. Let me double check. I feel like, did I miss anybody in here? I feel like there's a couple that I missed. Let me double check and make sure. Oh, yep, here we go. Shout out to Foss is in the building with the super sticker, the 2 super sticker, just waving and say hello. Thank you for being here. And shout out for the support as well. And also Amy's dropping the cake, reminding me not only that she has the cakiest cake in the building, but she's gonna bring some over here. Thank you, Amy. And that I need to make sure that I get some lunch soon. So I appreciate it. Thank you for the love. Amy always showing up and showing out. I personally don't think that good old ice cream truck never left. By the way, this filing sounded like a bunch of word salad to me. It's probably me. It's probably the way I'm reading it. But yes, you guys are smart. I think this sounds ridiculous. It's basically their way of saying, we don't want to combine this with the current case. We'll see what the judge decides. How much legal standing do they have in this? I'm going to let the attorneys talk about that. I just be out here struggling to read and talking about stuff. Jen. Oh, we're just normal moms. Where's the ice cream truck? Jen, how is Jen gonna act like this is the thing that annoys me? I don't know why they keep doing this. Defendant Reed's proposed cross claims are a vile work of fiction lacking any basis in fact, evidence, or law. What? We got a lot of facts. We got lies. We've got blame shifting. We got gaslighting. Insane, man. Yeah, they need to. Jen's got a lot of questions she needs to answer. The Alberts are ridiculous. This filing is why they filed in Bristol. I'm a little late, but are you going to mention their defense fund? I'm not going to mention their defense fund specifically, just because I know it would fall on deaf ears. I know how this community feels about the McAlberts, as y'all call them, and there's no point in me bringing up the defense fund because y'all aren't going to support. But yeah, they did start their own defense fund as well. And I think I take that back. I think I mentioned it on Friday because they were already up to like a couple $1,000s. I want to say 20-something $1,000. And if y'all watched the show when I mentioned that on Friday, I said, who is supporting them? Is it current police officers supporting them? Because it seems like the overwhelming amount of people are FKR. So I don't know. This coverage will be going on for years. There will be so much content. Hope I live long enough to see the outcome. Yeah, I think we will. They raised $40,000 in 48 hours. I think when we talked about on Friday, it was 20-something thousand. Sheesh. No, it's not just you. Everyone had trouble. Yeah, this thing was whatever, man. We're going to take this to federal court. Take it to federal court. Whatever, man. Alan Jackson ain't tripping. Happy Monday from Fort Benning. Oh, shout out to Fort Benning. Absolutely amazing. Thank you for the 2-bomb too. Shout out to Fort Benning. Thank y'all for the love, man. Let me double check and make sure we're good. And shout out to Miss Gator. Thank you for the support. Miss Gator, are you in the military yourself as well? Or do you have someone who's in the military? Because I always got to support and shout out our military folks in here. I love and appreciate our military and servicemen and women so much, man. Thank y'all for allowing me to do what I do here. Wouldn't be possible without y'all. I got to give you another round of applause. Cooking like the New York Strip. Hey, yeah, that's right. Probably Cox and his buddies donated. Karen made one and it's only got 3,000. Yeah. I just put that up on the screen. Some of y'all might have missed it. But we're going to be on Karen Reed for a while. A lot of their highest donations were under anonymous. Family perhaps. I think we could guess who some of the donors are. But again, there are a lot of, even if you look at X, for example, I get a lot of information from X and I'm able to find articles and documents and also see what people are saying in regards to what's going on with these cases. And there are a lot of people out there who still don't support Karen Reed, who think she's guilty, who think she was the one that hit him, even after seeing what Aka had to say, even after seeing what Aperture tried to do. I mean, it was bad, man. There's still people out there that are, it's crazy. My husband retired in 2017 after 31 years. Shout out to the lifers, man. He didn't want to go back to Indy because in the winters. Love this place. Yeah, thank y'all. I'm glad y'all are in Georgia too. That's dope. Thank y'all for your service, Miss Gator. I appreciate you. I mean, that's not even a lifer. He's a 31 years. My dad's the same way. He never wanted to get out. He's doing the same thing he was doing before. So yeah, shout out to the lifers out there and thank him so much for his service. Thank you for your service as well. Yeah, that's amazing, man. I appreciate y'all so much. All right, let's keep it going because we've got a lot of other content to get to. I know y'all, I told y'all this was going to be a action-packed show. So we're going to get into these next couple topics. We've been talking about Candace Owens. A lot of people saying Candace is crashing out, but Candace has been able to bring the receipts. So I think Candace deserves a lot more respect than she gets, not only because she has brought receipts when she's talked about conversations she had with Charlie, where Charlie was at, what was going on before his assassination, but also doing research outside of the initial assassination and what may have happened leading up to that. So we're going to talk about it here. I know I have a picture of Candace Owens somewhere, but maybe I've just been using Charlie Kirk. And let's go ahead and get into this. And Candace actually talked about this on her show as well. So let me double check and make sure we're good. Let me see what y'all are saying. I know TB and Karen have their differences. I'm not ever getting involved with that. I believe First Amendment rights and Karen is innocent. Therefore, I donated to both. Oh, shout out to you. Yeah, please thank your husband for us as well. Thank you for your service, man. The military raised me, so I appreciate the military more than I can even say. So let's go ahead and get into it. We've been covering this situation with Candace Owens and how she has been going in at everybody who was involved in Charlie Kirk's, and well, I don't want to say involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination, but surrounding the situation where Charlie Kirk was assassinated. She's going so far as to point out and call out Turning Point USA, members of that team. She's talked about everybody. She's talked about Egyptian planes. We're going to get into it here in a second. She's shown text messages between her and Charlie Kirk saying that, hey, I'm tired of being forced to say and do and move a certain way by these Jewish donors. So we're going to move a different direction. Candace Owens has been calling it all out. Now we're actually going to hear not only from Candace Owens, but someone who's been doing some research when it comes to these planes that Candace Owens was talking about that have been tracking Charlie Kirk and allegedly tracking Erica Kirk too. Let's check this out.
Candace, the planes. Maybe sit down because there's more. Candace highlighted 2 Egyptian planes. Many people have tagged me, so I looked into them too. And when I did, my jaw dropped. First, a quick clear-up of the timestamps from the gentleman sharing flight details on Candace's show. On September 10th, Utah was -6 of UTC, not -7 because of daylight savings. So everything I'm about to say is in the correct Utah Mountain local time. So, Egyptian planes. To give you an idea of how rare it is, in the entire United States today, there's one that pops up. But September 10th, not one but two Egyptian state-owned jets, SU Bravo November Delta, I'm going to go with SU BND, and SU Bravo Tango Tango, which I'll call SU BTT. These are not tourism jets. They are military, government, transport aircraft. These aircraft normally land at major diplomatic or military hubs, not small regional airports. Their presence at Provo Airport would require special U.S. clearance and is highly unusual. Not only were both of these jets at Provo on September 10th, but separately, both of them arrived via Minot Air Force Base. This is America's only nuclear base that holds 2 out of the 3 U.S. nuclear triad. If it's press the button time, this base is key. One of these planes was only on the ground for less than an hour, tight for refueling, but might work when something or someone needs to be picked up, dropped off, or something or somewhere needs to be authorized. And the very next stop for both of these planes, after going wheels up from Minot Nuclear Air Force Base, was Provo. And by the way, SU-BND landed at Provo May 23rd, 2025 and stayed till September 14th. A foreign state aircraft hanging out at a regional airport for nearly 4 months. SU-BND also did this on September 5th.
Is it something? Is it nothing? What do y'all think?
5 days before the assassination, SU-BND flew a straight corridor north of Provo and then came straight back. It did not land anywhere. Analysts would call this a mapping run, an electronic surveillance sweep, sensor calibration, or an intelligent flight conducted under special clearance. Then, on September 14th, it finally left Utah for Goose Bay, Newfoundland, which is a strategic NATO-linked location. And even its departure from Provo raised a little eyebrow. SU-BND was supposed to leave on September 14th just after midnight, but sat on the ground for nearly 19 more hours before eventually taking off. Diplomatic aircraft movements normally are tightly controlled, so a big delay could mean something held the plane there or something needed to happen before it was cleared to depart. Believe it or not, this will get stranger with Axel 10. On September 10th, the day Charlie was shot, a US ISR contractor jet shows up in the mix. Axel 10, a Bombardier Global 6500 operated by LaSalle, which is owned by Leidos, a major military intelligence contractor tied to the Army's Hades deep sensing program, which means detect, map, track signals, communications, electronics, and activity far beyond the line of sight, from dozens to even hundreds of miles away.
Wow.
On September 10th, Axel 10 made 2 extremely low passes. I calculated as low as 210 feet above ground level, directly aligned within roughly 3 miles of UVU. Once at 9:15 a.m., about 3 hours before Charlie was shot, and again at 12:48 p.m. local time, about 25 minutes after. A jet like this normally flies at 30, 40, 50,000 feet. And remember, when we see barometric altitude, that is height above sea level. When we take away the elevation of Provo and the lake the plane is flying over, that's how we arrive at 200 to 300 feet above ground level.
Okay, so I've been trying to figure out where we were going with this, and it seems like maybe somebody was dropped off at some point. That's why they were flying so low. That way there wouldn't be a trace of them traveling into the area, traveling out of the area. Because that was my question throughout all of this, even for Candace Owens, is what are we trying to say? What do we think happened here? If that's the case, if you think that's what happened, there should be a way to find where this person would have landed at if they were to jump out of the plane somehow or exit the plane. If they were flying that low.
Which is crazy low, and analysts would probably say indicates a mission. I pulled the KML files for both of the Axel 10 flights, and I wanted to show you how flawlessly aligned that dip is with the Orem UVU corridor. Both flights pass the exact airspace and do the same deep dip. Extremely precise behavior and airspace either side of Charlie Kirk's assassination. And still, it gets stranger. At 13:08 UTC, Universal Time Coordinated, which is 7:08 a.m. in Utah on September 10th, Sioux BTT begins departure from Provo. 7:08 a.m. at the same minute, according to its track, Axel 10 pops up on flight radar, wheels on the ground in El Paso for its departure, which will ultimately make that first deep dip within miles of UVU. These are unrelated aircraft, right? An Egyptian military government plane linked to Minot Air Force Base and a US jet tied to deep sensing ISR programs. Both planes hundreds of miles apart. Besides the coincidental departure time, they also have in common the location of Provo on the day of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Statistically unusual, which does not mean coordinated. I want to make that point. And we're not even done with the high strangeness. Sioux BND, the other Egyptian jet that had been sitting dormant in Provo since May 23rd, on the morning of September 10th, sent a handful of ground pings, as seen on Candace. But Sioux BND did not take off. It is already unusual for a foreign state aircraft to be at Provo for months. So after being electronically silent, pinging on September 10th, the day of Charlie's shooting is again unusual. None of this proves a cause, a perpetrator, coordination, but this is real flight data, verifiable and irregular. At a minimum, we're looking at overlapping intelligence-grade activity in the air corridor of an assassination. Let me know what you think. And Candace, I really hope this helps you. I am so sorry you lost your...
Wow, shout out to them for putting this together. I don't know how they come up with this stuff. I think, is there something there? Yes. Is it what we think it is? I'm not sure. But again, seeing all the information, all the receipts that are stacking up when it comes to these flights, it would be highly unlikely that Charlie Kirk would end up assassinated with these military grade planes being in the area, in the vicinity at the same time. There has to be some information. There has to be some cameras. There has to be something there that caught what was going on at the time or at the point Charlie Kirk was assassinated. We're going to keep looking into this. And I know Candace is going to be talking about this as well. Let me know what y'all think in the comments and in the chat. Wow. AJ did do a long interview with TB. No, shout out to TB, man, for getting the interview. Intelligence grade activity is not meant for the courts. I think Candace has lost her way. A lot of people are saying that, and we're going to actually get into it here in a second. A lot of people are saying Candace just needs to let it go, which from what I've seen from Candace, that's probably the wrong way to get her to stop talking. I mean, they should know by now by just saying, hey, Candace, just let it go. We don't have to do this. That's not going to help. That's not going to help. If y'all haven't liked the video yet, please make sure you like the video. It looks like most of you have liked the video so far. A couple of y'all are straggling and have not liked the video yet. Likes are free, guys. It takes less than a second to do, and it helps out a ton. So please, 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 please make sure you like the video. And let's keep it going. Candace Owens, in one of her most recent live streams, took some shots at Turning Point USA, saying that they had involvement in what was going on with the Charlie Kirk situation. Not only that, but that they were lying about some of the facts that Candace Owens had shared. So now we're going to get to hear from Turning Point USA. We're going to hear from Frank Turk, who was actually close by, very close by, and right there with Charlie Kirk after he was shot, when he was shot, and tragically as he died on his way to the hospital in the vehicle. So let's go to Turning Point USA first and see what they had to say. And we have this from Reverend Jordan Wells. Says, breaking, Turning Point USA just dropped a brutal receipt-loaded response demolishing every single lie Candace Owens has been trying to push. They brought facts. She brought blood libel. While Charlie Kirk and his friends are grieving their murdered brother, Candace is out here accusing them of being part of the secret Jewish hit squad, like some QAnon fever dream on steroids. This isn't just asking questions. This man says it's demonic. Dang. Turning Point USA didn't just refute her, they exposed her. Share if you're done with the grift. I pray for her. I really do. Let's see what Turning Point had to say about this. Check it out.
Great question from Rain. And it's kind of largely about the conspiracy theories and, and I think, Blake, you said it well. It's like we have to give space for people to grieve. There is a trial coming up. We understand that sometimes when we don't speak on every topic, it creates a bit of a vacuum. And there is, just so you know, there's a reason for some of the silence on certain things and the choosing not to engage in certain things. But I loved Rain's heart, and you could tell that she is grieved just by Charlie not being with us and the anchor that Charlie was in her life, but also the fact that she wants to carry his mission forward, and she wants everybody to be unified and on the same page. So, Mikey, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew, you said it. If there's silence on something, oftentimes people say that it's silent because it's true. No, that's not why. Like, there's so many accusations out there against so many people. Even one of them are like a sermon that my dad gave where he said that I had blood on me. And for the record, like, he gave that sermon. I called my dad moments after everything happened, and I was screaming.
I was listening to that call.
And Blake was next to me. I was screaming on the phone. I said, Charlie was shot in the neck, and he had blood all over him.
He said,
and I think he said
there was a lot of blood.
And I said, you need to call every pastor and pray for a miracle. And he thought, for some reason, that I said I had blood on me. So he gives a sermon 72 hours later where he addresses that conspiracy.
Yeah, and he says that
I had blood on me. Okay. I didn't see that sermon. And then about a month later, that was like trending all over social media. And I called my dad and I was like, did you actually say this? And he was like, yeah, I just found out it's not true. So like behind every single one of these are a human being. For an entire month, my dad had to live with nightmares every night that his son actually did have blood all over him.
Didn't you say he got emotional when he found out?
He got emotional when I was on the phone with him being like, that's not true. Why did you say that?
No, he was so glad to hear it wasn't true.
Yeah, like not everything is some grand scheme. And just because someone's not answering all of your questions when you want them to answer your questions does not mean it's
I want to close
true.
the loop on this.
I think one more thing.
I think, but there's a lot of people are deeply affected by this.
Yeah.
And for some people, the temptation of something very emotionally upsetting is they want to, frankly, sometimes there's a temptation to lash out. And I would remember that, I would encourage you to remember, all of us love Charlie. All of us care deeply about Charlie. It is fundamentally, I'll just say it is fundamentally outrageous and insane to say that any of us would have wanted Charlie dead or wanted anything bad to happen to him. And
I disagree. It be your own people sometimes.
When we get emails where people just say, you killed Charlie, or like, you're lying about everything, I would strongly encourage those people to reflect on what is motivating them to do these things.
Yeah. I want to also say, there is a point where it's deeply frustrating that somebody like Mikey would have to even dignify some of like that, this story that you'd have to even dignify that with a response. I mean, it's so insane. But by the way, I love that Rain is wearing she was talking about her bracelet from the memorial. And it was funny because just this morning I saw a bunch of We Are Charlie Kirk bracelets on Mikey's desk. I was like, I want one of these. I never wear these kind of bracelets. Not really my thing, but I'll wear it for Charlie. So I thought that was great.
All right, so now we're going to keep it moving. Them calling out Candace Owens. I didn't really see any receipts here. I just saw someone say, oh, well, that wasn't true. So again, Candace still to me has a point because she's shown a lot of the conversations that were had the way Charlie Kirk was thinking before everything went down. Now we're actually going to hear not from some secondhand, someone who saw something or heard something secondhand. We're going to hear straight from the horse's mouth from Frank Turk what actually went down and what he believes happened during the situation and how he feels about what Candace Owens is saying and what she's doing. Frank Turk, again, he was the one who was wearing the white hat, who was filming, it looked like, but he was actually on FaceTime with his sons while Charlie Kirk was speaking. And then he was there and helped transport Charlie Kirk to the hospital. So Frank says, see my response to Candace Owens' conspiracy theories during my recent college event at Boise State University. Check it out.
As we all know, Candace Owens is spinning a lot of suggestions that there's all sorts of conspiracies out there about who killed Charlie. It's fine to ask questions. It's fine to suggest that maybe this happened, maybe that happened, but it's not fine to insinuate that people are guilty of murder or they're in some sort of murder conspiracy unless you have really strong evidence. My friend Mikey McCoy, whom I talked to today, is getting death threats.
Dang.
I get what appear to be death threats. You never know what can happen to you. In fact,
he's telling Candace
before
to
Charlie, these gentlemen were not with me. Before Charlie, we didn't even have a police officer in the back of the room. Why do we need that now? Bible is very clear. You need 2 witnesses to convict somebody. You don't gossip. You don't slander people. Unfortunately, I think too much of that is going on. So far, I've heard that Candace and others, it's not just Candace, have suggested Netanyahu killed him, Israel killed him, Trump killed him, TPUSA killed him.
That's fair.
Mikey McCoy, his dad, Rob McCoy, had something to do with it. The FBI, Egypt. I heard France today. I thought all France did was surrender.
Dang, relax, brother.
Now, let me ask you a question, ladies and gentlemen. Unless those possible culprits in Charlie's murder all work together on some grand conspiracy, that most of what is being said about this has to be false. Do you see the point? If you're going to suggest all these different people are involved, they can't all be involved.
Well,
it strains credulity to say they're all somehow involved.
Well,
maybe one of them did it.
Do you guys think that's true? I don't know. I've seen crazier things. I mean, it could be one person in each part of those sectors. Again, Candace Owens is asking questions. I don't see a problem with looking for the truth, asking questions and saying, hey, guys, that's what Candace says. I'm seeing something over here that doesn't make sense. Will you give me answers? And guess what? Candace Owens is getting exactly what she wants. Shout out to her. She's getting answers. She's getting answers. She said, hey, Frank, Mikey, Pastor McCoy, what's going on here? Y'all need to say something. I saw this. This doesn't make sense. This was a lie. Answer. And they're giving an answer. So I think what we're hearing from a lot of people with Turning Point USA and a lot of people who are surrounding and close to Charlie Kirk is somewhat of them getting tired of answering questions from Candace Owens and others as a result of her search for the truth. And guys, unfortunately, I mean, a lot of this doesn't make sense. It's not adding up, even down to Tyler Robinson, the video that we talked about this past Saturday. Even with Tyler Robinson, so much of his arrest and so much of him being brought in or turning himself in, it just doesn't make sense. So it's unfortunate that a lot of these folks have to continue to be brought up in this conversation as a result and as a side effect of Candace Owens' search for the truth. But they have to understand that a lot of this isn't adding up, and they don't even know for a fact who the shooter was. They don't know. We're still on that someone else may have been involved and possibly involved in the situation with the alleged killer that we have in custody, Tyler Robinson. So I get the frustration, but for her to continue to ask questions and point out things that don't make sense. It's a part of the quest and the journey to truth.
But that means most of what's being said about this is false. And what if the guy who actually has been charged with the crime really did it? Then every single thing that is being said regarding conspiracies, if he acted alone, is certainly false.
I don't think she should be silent
Now,
at all.
the trial is probably not going to be for at least another year.
It'll be before a year.
We can't keep spinning conspiracy theories without evidence. People are going to get hurt. So I plead, if you're watching this kind of stuff, or you know people that are, you need to say, hey, it's okay to ask questions. It's not okay to insinuate. People are guilty unless you have really strong evidence. In fact, if I were to say, I really think Candace Owens did this. I really think she did. You know why? Because Charlie stopped inviting her to the big events. And she thought if she could get rid of Charlie, then maybe they'd ask her to be the head of Turning Point. And
okay, now Frank, come on, Frank. Chill out, dude. Chill out. They were still talking. Candace Owens showed that. Come on now.
She's bringing all this up, citing all these other people to cover her own tracks. And I really think she's jealous of Erica, too.
Oh.
I think she's the one that did this. This all checks out. Would that be fair? No, it's not fair. It's ridiculous. I have no evidence for it.
Dang.
But I submit to you, that appears to be what she's doing, knowingly or unknowingly, to people for which she has no evidence they were involved. I need to say one other thing about this.
I can't believe he said that.
Mikey McCoy turning away and immediately getting on his phone when Charlie was shot.
It was weird.
She said there's only 3 possible things you can do in a situation like this. You either run toward the problem, you run away from the problem, or you freeze. Candace Owens doesn't know what she's talking about here. Because these men in these rooms will tell you that when a traumatic event occurs, if they're trained to do something, they automatically do it. I was in the Navy. We had emergency procedures. You practice those emergency procedures over and over again, so when the disaster strikes, you don't even have to think. You just do it. Why did I run to get in the car? Because I thought beforehand, if Charlie ever gets shot and I'm there, I'm going to do whatever I can to help. Didn't even need to think about it. Charlie drilled into Mikey, who at the time was only 23 years old. Drilled into him. If anything ever happens to me, the first thing you do is call Erica. Why would he run to Charlie when Charlie has 6 guys around him carrying him to the car? All he would do would be get in the way. Mikey did exactly what he was trained to do. Now, once the trial comes out,
that's fair.
We'll find out the truth. The ultimate
man.
truth. But let's not insinuate people are guilty unless you have really, really good evidence. Oh, I have to say this too. Sorry, I just keep going on. But people don't seem to understand how prosecutions work. I mean, you had the case here with Kohlberg. What's his name? Kohlberger. How many people were spinning conspiracy theories about that? And frustrated because we weren't getting enough information from the prosecution. My friend J. Warner Wallace, who has prosecuted many cases, he's a cold case homicide detective. I had him on the show about a month ago to talk about these conspiracy theories. He said the prosecution will never reveal what they have before they have to.
What?
Stop the cap.
That's not true.
Why? Let me just give you one example. Suppose they're investigating a second shooter, and I submit to you they probably are. Why?
That's not true,
Because
Frank.
in the trial, the defense team is going to say, did you investigate the second shooter? Yeah, we did. But if they come out and say, we're investigating a second shooter, if a witness comes forward and says, oh, I saw the second shooter, they don't know if that witness really saw the second shooter or that person is making stuff up so he can make a name for himself.
All right. Okay. Shout out to Frank. We're going to get off of this one. Let me know what y'all think in the comments in the chats. I was surprised he used that analogy, and let's be real. We know he was taking shots at Candace Owens, talking about her being jealous of Erica Kirk, and maybe she was the one involved. He was using an analogy. Very, very interesting stuff here. And I think Turning Point USA and the gang over there have made it clear they're not afraid of Candace Owens and they're willing to fight back. They should know better. They should know better than to do this, because all this is going to do is just feed Candace even more. We're going to be talking about Candace Owens soon. I am sure of it. Let me know what y'all think in the comments and in the chat. They should know. Like, you could look at the MO of Candace Owens. You know she's going to see this and go, oh, really? Oh, really, Frank? Oh, really, Mikey? You called Erica Kirk? I can't wait to see the response to this. Amy says, or maybe Frank, it was for you to take over. Could be. Shout out to Mr. Brown in here, dropping the 5 bomb, showing love. Thank you for the support, Mr. Brown. Praying for your continued healing. Hopefully you're doing well. I always appreciate you showing up and supporting as well. We're going to get out of here, y'all. We got some more videos dropping later on this afternoon. So if you haven't yet, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time that we go live. Thank you to all 7,000 of you that liked the video so far. If you haven't yet, make sure you do that. Likes are free. Please, please make sure you do that. And a special shout out to everyone who went the extra mile and super chatted. Shout out to Mary. Shout out to Foz. Shout out to Miss Gator. And thank you and your husband for your service. Mr. Brown. And then, of course, my awesome, amazing Amy. The beautiful, awesome, amazing Amy E. See how they tell on themselves? You have to listen to the small cues. Yep, we're going to get into it more. I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. As always, you know what to do. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We gone. Peace. Appreciate y'all.